John Check. I'm with Louisiana Steam Equipment. So I'm local here in New Orleans. Our office is right over on Chapatula Street. It's right across the river from here. We're the manufacturer's rep for Lochinvar. So that's the manufacturer. These are actually made in Nashville, Tennessee. The product you have is the Copperfin 2 pool heater. This unit, let me look at the tag. The tag's here. So if you ever need like parts and pieces, if you ever need parts and pieces, you'll get the model and serial number off this tag right here. As far as, I'm just gonna go over the basic operation of it. So it's got this control panel here. So the big thing I want to point out, the most common mistake people make, this button right here on the top right, is you'll see it's off on. So the panel's backlit. You can see it's dark right now. People want to come here to light it up and hit that. If you hit that button first, it's gonna turn the pool heater off. So I recommend hit the right and left buttons first. So if I hit that button, now it lights up. So, and I hit it to the right. So the right and left buttons, that scrolls through. Obviously it's a 2-line LCD. You only see 2 lines at a time. So if you hit these right and left buttons, it takes you through it. So the home screen right here, it says heater and it says set point met. That just means the pool, it's satisfied on temperature right now. And then as you scroll, outlet temperature's 83. Inlet temperature's 83 are rise, which is just outlet minus inlet's 0. And as you keep going through, you'll see the system supply. So that's the temperature of the water going through the pool. The system return temp is 84. So that's actually what we control off of, because you have a big mass of water out there. So it's the water that's coming to the pool heater is what we're adjusting it, controlling it on. So you'll see system return is 84, and then in parentheses it says 84. The number inside of the parentheses is your set point, exactly right. So if you go in and change it, you'll see that number in parentheses change. And then as you go, it's more just informational. As you go further, there's a lot of stuff. It'll tell you there's a fan in here, if it's at high speed or low speed. It's more for troubleshooting, not anything you need to know really. So if you wanted to turn it off, whether it's just summertime and you don't want to heat the pool or whatever, if I just hit this top right button, then it's going to say heater off. If you ever want to change parameters in there, I recommend turning the heater off. Then you can go in there and program it. Once you've got it set up the way you want it, then turn it back on again. For maintenance, you've got a power switch right here. So if I turn that off, it just turns it off all the way. You can do all your maintenance on there. Obviously, there's also a breaker in the panel to turn it off even further. I'm gonna flip that back on. It'll just boot right up. Anytime you power, you hear the fan come on. It's just doing a little checkout thing. The normal operation. So this got a hot surface igniter. So the pool heater. So our maximum flow rate allowable through this boiler, this pool heater, is 90 gallons per minute. We were talking, you've got obviously a very high flow rate filter in your pool, so it's decoupled. So this pump here is designed to pull that 90 gallons per minute through this pool heater. And then you can see, if you follow the pipes, we're just connected here and here. So all your major flow for your filtration just bypasses. So when you get below set point, the pool heater wants to run. The first thing it's going to do, it's going to kick this pump on and start circulating through. It checks its safeties. The high limit, that's internal built into the controls, and your flow switch is this little device right here. Once it sees all the safeties are in a normal spot, it'll start its ignition sequence. I'll walk you through that real briefly, but this has 2 hot surface igniters in it. It's going to send 120 volts to that hot surface igniter, and it's going to start monitoring the amp draw. It's got to see 3.1 amps. It assumes it's glowing bright red hot at that point. Once it sees that 3.1 amps, it'll open the gas valve, and the hot surface igniter also serves as our flame sensor. So as soon as it opens the gas valve, it stops sending 120 volts, and it starts monitoring for a flame sense. It gives you got about 3 seconds to see that flame sense. If it doesn't see it, it just closes the gas valve off and it'll lock out on a flame fail ignition. Any lockouts will be displayed on that right there. Of course, if it does sense it, it comes on and it runs. You can see there's a gas valve here. There's 3 other gas valves for your multi-stages. The way this works, you got a little bit of redundancy built into it because you've got 2 igniters. So gas valve 1 will light off of igniter. The second stage will light off that, it just light off the existing flame in there. Then when it goes to 3, it has a secondary igniter. So if one igniter fails, you'll still at least get some partial heat out of the system on it. So got a 1-year warranty on all the parts, and then a 5-year warranty on the heat exchange. That's really the main piece of it. The other critical piece is this little motorized 3-way valve right here. So this is a non-condensing boiler. It means that the flue gases have to stay above 140 degrees. Well, the temperature of the flue gases are going to be dependent on the water temperature inside of it. Obviously your pool's at 84 degrees, not at 140. So what happens, you'll see right here we have a bypass. So this valve will set itself so that we have a circulated loop right here that's always staying 140 degrees. That maintains that we'll always have 140 degrees here. If we're below that, we'll have flue gas condensate inside the boiler and it'll destroy it very quickly. So this was, this was all sold together as one skid, but it's fully automated. It's looking at that sensor and it's continuously just making little adjustments to how much water's bypassing relative to how much water's coming from the pool and going back out. And that's all automated in there. But that's really, the pump, you have to have float. The protection for that's the flow switch. And then if that valve stops working, it'll start saying low inlet temp right here and warn you. And that's what, you want to call a technician, call us, call RCI, whatever you need, because it's going to be a maintenance critical issue at that point. If you see it not going away, my recommendation is shut it down and turn it off so that it doesn't continue to operate and create any damage. You can see these wires here, so there's remote sensors. So I mentioned there's an inlet temp and an outlet temp. Those sensors are right here on the header. That's seeing what's happening inside the loop. And then, as I mentioned, we've got a supply sensor and a return sensor. That's what's seeing what's actually going on with your pool. So on the outlet side, that's a safety. If that gets over 115 degrees, it'll lock the boiler out. So obviously, you can send 100-degree water, 115-degree water out there. It's going to blend with the pool. You'll be safe. If it gets much hotter than that, they don't want somebody to be like right next to a discharge and get burned. So that's the safety there. And then again, the return sensor, that's just for our operation. As far as maintenance goes, we highly recommend preventive maintenance once a year. The main thing they're going to do is clean the burners. So the way it's set up, there's a fan in there and the gas. The fire is going to sit off the burner between an 1/8 inch and a 1/4 inch. This is where the combustion air comes in. You got dust and dirt in there. As those burners clog, that flame's going to get closer and closer to the burner. When it gets too close, exactly, they overheat. They're stainless steel, but they'll overheat and crack. Then you end up with other issues. So if you maintain that once a year, you can defer a little longer, but if you stay on top of it and ahead it, it's also the checkout. When they do it, they're going to look at what's your inlet temp doing, what's our delta T, our temperature rise, and they just make sure that everything's working correctly. Now I just point out a couple of things, as I mentioned, gas comes in here, intake combustion air is here. There is an air filter inside of here. You should put that on your filter routine. Usually every 60 to 90 days is enough. But on a new setup, just kind of monitor it and see if it's getting really dirty.
Washable filter, boy.
We want a cheap filter. It's like MERV 4 or less, like that filter floss. It's really to keep anything big from getting into it. Exhaust is here. I pointed out the other stuff. Inside components, there's not much to it. You've got your, this is your connection board here. That's the main integrated control board that controls everything.